Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to Can't Teach Size, a hockey podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Liz, and I'm joined by Brady today.
What's poppin'?
And if you're tuning in, that means you stuck around for episode 2. So we thank you very much. It's been a fun stretch getting this podcast started up, having some fun on Twitter and on TikTok and getting all this figured out. Brady's been working hard on YouTube and YouTube Shorts, things like that.
Hell
It's
yeah.
been a lot of fun so far,
Lots
and we're just looking to keep this rolling.
lots of love so far. It's been good. A lot of people reaching out saying some nice things, so we really appreciate that. We'll try and keep this going as long as we can. But yeah, it's been a very eventful week, obviously in the NHL.
Yeah, we were sitting here and we're like, okay, we're gonna start the episode by doing a quick little intro, and then we're gonna go into what happened in the NHL this week, and then we're like, what did happen in the NHL this
Nothing.
week? And nothing but the one eventful thing that did happen in the NHL this
Okay.
week, the hottest coaches list. I have been talking about this list for many a day now, and I love this list. I think it's so funny. I love what it represents, which is that we cannot be taking this sport too seriously. It's hilarious. I love it. That being said, what an awful list.
Dude, it's so bad. It is such
It's
a bad
so
list. It's
bad.
so okay. So like the whole bit with this was that it was supposed to be like AI who like put it was some sort of thing regarding like um what's the word, like facial composition and like
Yeah, okay, right.
structure
Oh,
or whatever.
like conventionally the most like mathematically attractive kind of thing.
I think, but it might even just be like it might even been a might even geez, I can't talk. It might even have been a thing like symmetry, facial symmetry. That's the words I was looking for.
Oh, interesting.
Um which I doesn't really make sense for some of the people on the list. We'll obviously get into actual hockey stuff, but this is too insane to not cover.
What do you mean actual hockey stuff? This is what I'm here for. Are you kidding me?
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, I
Um,
want to pull up the actual this because for those of you if you don't recall, if you haven't had this burned into your brain like I have, the top five they have 1 through 5 is Jay Woodcroft, Daryl Sutter, Derek Lalonde, John Hines, and Paul Maurice.
okay, listen, I will go to bat for some of these guys. Jay Woodcroft, understandably, I think
Yeah.
he's a cute little guy. I think he's I mean he's young, so he fits the bill. But like Daryl Sutter looks like his face is like melting, actively melting. No offense to him, he's a great coach, but uh Derek
No
Lalonde.
offense, but I'm gonna say the rudest thing I possibly can about his face. Love the
Okay,
guy
go
though.
off, go
But
off.
that was literally that's you.
I know. Derek Lalonde looks like Gru from Despicable Me. Do you have any roasts you want to throw in here, or am I the only one roasting right now?
Well, I remade this list because if anyone,
Oh,
okay, I don't know, for those of you who don't know me, I actually like calculated the hottest players in the NHL like 2 years ago or something like that. So I had like a spreadsheet art, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it again. Derek
oh,
Lalonde, 32nd on my list,
yeah.
absolute bottom of the barrel, and yeah, so he was very low for me. And John Hines, I just don't get it. What? Huh? I
Okay,
don't get a lot of them. There's a
I
lot of bad on this list.
I don't want to sound like I'm going to be attacking bald people because I don't think that bald people are unattractive necessarily, but all of the bald coaches look like other than like I don't know Bruce Boudreau, all the bald coaches like Derek Lalonde, John Hines all
Don't do
look
this.
like super villains. They look like villains.
Don't do
Like
to Jim Montgomery. Jim Montgomery is slept on in this conversation. Jim
I
Montgomery deserves better.
I got to bring up a photo. I unfortunately. Oh yeah, no, he's a good looking guy. He's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
rocks the ball. He rocks the cue ball look pretty
Mhm,
well.
mhm.
But I will say I think a slept on guy. I'm glad he got some recognition. Is Paul Maurice. I do think that Paul,
Yeah.
while I don't like his coaching, I think he's a decently conventionally attractive man. Like good for him. I think he looks great. He's gonna look great with a tan in Florida. Um,
Mhm.
what were the other standouts on this list for you, Liz?
The other standouts were getting to the bottom. Peter Laviolette being dead last is weird to me. I don't think Peter Laviolette's attractive, but he is not the ugliest
No,
on this
absolutely
list.
not. Absolutely
I
not.
thought that was weird, and also I thought that Mike Sullivan and John Cooper were both quite low as well.
Oh, dude, John Cooper is like a silver fox. That man, he's
Mhm,
gorgeous.
mhm.
And like even
Okay.
Saint Louis, Marty Saint
Okay, I was
Louis.
gonna say So I remade this list, of course, right? St. Louis, Jared Bednar, and Rod Brindamore should, in my opinion, of course, should be the undisputed top three. Like, absolutely. Those three, they win this list, and they were criminally underrated on the list that went public.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I feel like even like David Quinn being 29th is insane. Like
That is
insane.
actually very insane. Top 10. David Quitt's top
Oh,
10.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, as you said, Brendan Moore again slept on, only at 10. Yeah, that
Lindy Ruff
Jared
being
Bednar.
17th. Lindy Ruff, really? At
Yeah,
17?
he could be the
Bottom five.
bottom five for sure.
Bottom
Um,
five for sure.
I don't have much else I can say on this. Oh, Mike Sullivan too. Mike Sullivan's not a bad looking
Okay,
guy. Like
when I was doing my research,
your
I
research,
thought he was hotter than he actually is. I was a little disappointed. But the
you
one thing
gotta
I
bring
would say is I loved the Paul Maurice quote on this when, okay, first things first is what any good person would do is you're being compared to your buddy and being like, okay, but am I at least higher than him? And they're like, yeah, it's like, okay, good. So valid. But he's like, it's like winning the ugly list. And honestly, like kind of true. I was looking at this and I was like, why are none of these coaches like other than like Marty St. Louis, other than my top three? I
uh,
feel like it was just not. No,
I
not the
do
only
have to
thing.
get I do have to give it to the reporters though. The fact that they are asking like a bunch of the coaches about this, like
So funny.
where was it? Bruce Boudreau had a pretty funny reaction to it. He just goes, oh, I don't want to be I don't want to be a part of this poll or whatever. And he goes, oh well, you're actually ranked 16th, Bruce. Like it's not too bad. You're right in the middle of the pack. And he goes on to say there must have been an awful lot of blind people who made that poll. Well, Bruce, it actually was an AI, but don't be so hard on yourself. You're looking good. You're feeling good. You're not I would say 16th is like fair for him. I would definitely not a hot
I'd say
coach,
it's generous
but
a
he's not. I
bit,
wouldn't say he's
but
an ugly coach. It's generous. Come on, give Brucey some love. Give Brucey some
yeah,
love.
yeah, I don't know. That's not a hill I'm willing to die
The
on. I don't know, but
the real question: where does Barry Trotz land on this?
man, I don't know. I don't know. I have
Oh
to go back and reconfigure my math.
yeah, adjust the
And
algorithm.
do you know who would have been a top for me? That Jeremy Colleton
Oh,
would have
true.
been.
I was just thinking about that. He definitely would have
Yeah,
been up there. He was a
rip,
yeah,
rip to the
definitely
legend.
incredible.
Should he be a coach in the NHL? No, but for this
No,
sake, yeah.
but to be fair, he was also coaching like the Blackhawks, who
The
stink.
worst team ever.
They suck, but also he
No, for
sucks too.
sure. He does. But yeah,
Anyways,
that was pretty much what happened in the NHL this week. And as you can see, we're both very passionate about,
yeah,
the things that matter most to the
I,
players. And, if you recall from last episode, talking about, naming podcasts, and we're like, there's what is Grit Per 60 podcast already exists. And we're like, if that didn't exist, man, oh man, that would be our sweet spot. Like, we're all about the vibes, all
we are
about.
all about the vibes.
So this is very important.
Before we hop into anything, like we're actually going to do an Eastern Conference preview again. We'll have our bold takes for the Eastern Conference. But before we do, I do unfortunately I forgot to mention this to Liz before the show, but I do want to talk about the Jets a little bit. Um,
Oh God, not
I
them.
Not them. Yeah, it'll be quick. I promise. Liz and I both were at the preseason game yesterday. Obviously, not a lot happening in the league because it is just preseason. All the rosters are getting cut down. Liz and I were both at the game yesterday. The Jets were playing against the Oilers. And oh my God, Brad Lambert is insane. How did this man? I understand how he fell to 30, but oh my God, the entire game. I went there with my girlfriend. It was her first preseason game, or sorry, it was her first Jets game she'd ever been to.
It was?
Yeah, it was her first Jets
Oh my
game.
God.
So we sit down in our seats, and my season seats are actually next to Hustler from Winnipeg Sports Talk. And I
Dang.
apologize to my girlfriend. We just sat there chatting the entire game. It was great. She was having fun. She enjoyed it, but man, when Brad Lambert was throughout the game, he just looked like he was getting better and better and better. And I was like, even before the game, I tweeted, I'm like, they need to play him with Perfetti and Dubois for a couple shifts just to see, like, just with that kind of player who's an all skill guy, like, I want to see him with players who can actually help him get the puck. And slowly throughout the game, it was like he just kind of slowly got more shifts, more shifts, more shifts. He had that gorgeous tic-tac-toe play on the goal that got called off. Also, goals getting called off in the preseason is so fucking stupid.
I
Challenge.
also like offside in general. I hate that call when it's like this goal literally happened 30 seconds after the zone entry. Like, why is that Winnipeg's fault that the refs missed that shit? Like, don't even
It's
get me started on this.
it's insanely stupid. Anyways, the the point is, I don't know if he's gonna play. I don't. I think because he missed some time in the at the start of camp because he got injured. My guess is I think they're gonna give him a tryout. They'll give him a couple games with the Jets. I don't see why not. He's looked fantastic, but he also does need to put on some size. Do you disagree or agree? Like,
Um, anytime anyone says put on some size, I immediately go, but other than that, no, I fully agree. And you are correct. But like, um, it's not like it's like a notable, it's like, oh, skinny little boy out there, whatever. No, he's young still, so like I'm not worried. But I honestly more talking about Rick Bonus than him. The fact that this kid, young draft pick and they put him on third line or whatever, and then they watch that game and they're like, no, this is ridiculous. Put some shifts on the power play, some shifts with the better guys. Overtime starts. Who's the first guy out there? Brad Lambert.
dude,
Amazing play right off the
dude,
bat. Like
oh
so
my
good.
god,
So good.
the overtime was insane. Like you could, it looked like every player on the ice was like just trying to set him up, and oh my god, sorry, I'm just gushing. I'm so excited for this guy.
Oh,
Um,
me too. And I'm happy for him too. Like I was thinking, like I would say he's probably the same age as my brother. I think this year is probably my little brother's draft year-ish sort of thing. And when people talk about like a kid, they're like, oh, like he lost the love of hockey, whatever. Like I could 100% see that happening with
mhm.
like young kids are impressionable, right? Like, and if the wrong thing happens with them in the sport that they're playing, like it can turn them off. Like, and so if all he needs to do to be great is to fall in love with hockey again, then I'm gonna be so happy for him when it
And
happens here in Winnipeg
just
because it will.
just confidence, man. Like, oh, it's
Hmm.
he looked confident, and that's all you can ever ask for. Coming into the season, I was like, oh yeah, I think it would be a good idea for him to go and play with, in junior with the Thunderbirds in Seattle. Be on a winning team, get some confidence. And now I'm like, I swear to God, if they send him back to junior, I'm gonna lose my mind. At very worst, play him with the Moose. I'm not saying he should make the Jets now, but like play him with the Moose. I would say give him a tryout with the Jets, let him play a couple games, and then let his ELC slide. But like, put him with the Moose, have him playing with Lucius, get them to develop some chemistry, have the kind of second coming of like Kyle Connor and Jack Roslovic, who kind of played together in the oh my god, with the Moose, and have them come up together already playing together. But anyways, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to touch on Jets talk wise before we move on?
Yeah, no, just like that specifically, like you were saying, it's crappy to call back preseason goals, things like that. Like there's a lot of that kind of stuff. But like preseason is not meant for seriousness, right? And I think that it's when it's meant to take chances. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I loved. Again, Brad Lambert, all those chances that he was given. And it was the same thing with Billy Hanola. Like obviously I'm gonna talk about this guy, my favorite player. I love him. Not a great giveaway. And I'm not going to get into the details of, how that shouldn't be turning you off from him for an entire whatever. But he gives up the puck, lets in a goal, whatever. Power play comes about 3 seconds later, and what does Rick Bonus do? He puts him right back out there because that's what he was doing really well with before. And in a regular season game, I don't know if that would have happened. In a preseason game under Paul Maurice, that wouldn't have happened. And I loved it. I was happy
The
to see it.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up the against Paul Maurice thing because as soon as I asked you if there's anything else you wanted to talk about for Jets wise, I immediately was like, oh wait, I do want to talk about one more thing. Oh my god, how like I know we touched on it last episode, but my god, Rick Bonus is it's so refreshing to have a coach that just won't bullshit you. Like even with when it came to that Hinola giveaway, like he even came out to the media after and was like, you know what, he was trying to make a play, and if one of the forwards is down there supporting, like that's not as bad of a play. It's not going to be intercepted immediately and brought in for a goal against. So
He was holding onto the puck because there was no one there to take it from him.
exactly. And like, we don't want to, harp on this, but like, God, it's so nice to have a coach that comes to the media and talks to them like they're not stupid. Like, how many times Hustler and I were talking about this? How many times last year was it like, or like last year, years before, where like the Jets would lose like 5-1, and Paul Maurice would come to the podium and just be like, you know what, I
We liked our game.
I liked our game today. Yeah, you already know. You already know what I'm gonna say. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's so nice to hear. Like, even in whatever it was a couple games ago, when he was like, "Yep, we won tonight, but like, we were taking too long of shifts, and I think a lot of the veteran guys are taking too long of shifts. That's not gonna fly around here." Oh my god, it's like it's crazy how excited and like amped I am because a coach is like talking normally and not like gaslighting the fan base constantly. Am I wrong? Like, is that not what Paul Maurice did for like so long? Was just gaslight everyone and be like, yeah, I thought we played well. I
And
liked our
people
game.
talk about like how he got like the quips or whatever. It's like the funny little like sound bites you get. I was like, yeah, because he wasn't answering the question. Like that's why you got the sound bite, bro.
Oh my god, I'm just
Anyways,
yeah.
anyways.
And enough about the
This
Jets.
this is gonna be mostly about the Easter conference today, so we'll move on from that. But I bet you I could put money on it now. I don't think we will ever have an episode where I don't talk about Billy Hanel in some capacity. So it's gotta happen. Just let it run its course, get it out of my system, and then we'll move on to the content of the episode.
We'll have a little Villy counter in the corner. I'm sure I can get that
Oh
going
my
soon.
God. Literally. Um, so we are gonna get into our, hot take standings, things like that right away. But first, we're gonna do our little game of the day. So
Oh,
I am doing the game
damn it.
today, and Brady doesn't know what it's gonna be. It's not gonna be nearly as embarrassing for him as it was for me last time, but here's hoping at least. So what I've done is I have 9 NHL teams here, and I'm gonna ask you who has their highest cap hit in this coming season,
Oh.
and as a follow-up, if you have any idea what it is. So for example, if I were to say Winnipeg, who has their highest cap hit in this particular season?
Oh, like which player?
Yes.
Okay. Blake Wheeler,
And it's how much?
8.25.
Exactly. So I obviously didn't
Fantastic.
put that one in there because we all know that.
Okay.
So I have 9 teams. So if you get 5 out of 9, that means you win. And so I want you to pick the player, and then for a follow-up, how much money?
Okay. I have a question. If they have a player who's on LTIR,
No.
does that
Okay.
count? So
It
like
does not count.
an example, if it was like the Golden Knights and it would like Shea Weber wouldn't be their
Correct.
answer. Okay, just wanted
And
to make sure.
actually, I have one team. When I get there, I'll mention it. I was just going on cap friendly, so injured reserve isn't on there either. So there are a couple people that do not count towards this. So
Okay.
we'll just get right into it. So first things first, the Calgary Flames. Who has their
Oh,
highest cap hit in 2022-23?
2022-23. Okay, so Jonathan Huberdeau's extension hasn't kicked in yet. So what was he making before that? I know that on defense, Uyghur is like their fourth highest paid. So it's neither of the Florida guys who came over. Kadri, what's Kadri's making? It's
I'm enjoying this thought journey a lot,
I
by the way.
I think I want to say it's Kadri. I think it's Kadri. Is it Kadri?
That is correct.
Yes, let's fucking go. And I cannot remember what he signed for. Like, did he sign for like? Did he get up to? No, he didn't get up to 9. No. It was like 7.5.
7.
7. Damn it. Okay,
Yeah, so
go
yeah,
ahead.
Hubert is making like less than 6 right now or something like that, which is crazy.
But then
But
it jumps to like 10.5,
and
10,
something,
10
yeah,
something.
and
Damn.
something nuts like that. But
Okay,
yeah, there you go. All right, 1 for 1.
let's go.
Okay, number 2, Arizona Coyotes.
Oh, fuck off. Who even plays for Arizona these days? Okay. My one inkling is Shane Gostisbehere because he was traded as like a cap dump. Oh boy, give me a sec. Um, But I think Shane Gostisbehere was only making like 4.7 or something like that. Okay, let me think. Who do they? Nick Schmaltz made? No, Clayton Keller. Clayton Keller makes $7 million, and I'm gonna say that that's it.
Yeah, he makes 7.15, but you know what? That is very close, and I will take it.
Let's
Excellent.
go.
2 for 2.
Let's go. It'll take me a
Okay.
minute, but I'll get there.
New York Islanders tied. There are two players that are the highest cap hit that make the same amount of money.
Is it Rick DiPietro? Are they still whatever they're still paying him? Um,
Enough.
okay, with the Islanders. So obviously there's Matt Barzal. Maybe like an Anders Lee. I could see him having like a 7x7 or something stupid like that. No, not 7x7, but I could see him having like a 6x6 or something. Brock Nelson, no. Maybe someone on the defense. Ryan Pulak, Adam Pelech. Oh boy.
You're just listing players.
I'm thinking. Let me give me a moment. I'll guess. I'll guess Barzal, but I think it's Pulak. I'm gonna say Barzal.
But it's two players, remember?
Oh, it's two players. It's Barzal and Pulak.
Okay, so you got one of those correct.
Is Pulak one of them?
No, it is not.
Fuck. Okay, Barzal.
Yeah.
And is it Pelech?
No.
Is it Lee? It's got to be Lee then.
Mm-hmm.
And do they? So what? They have like matching $6 million contracts or something like that.
7.
7? Oh, did he have a 7/7?
I don't know what the term is, but
Whatever.
Could be. I don't
I
remember.
think that was a good guess. I'll take that.
I'll give you that. Alrighty. Seattle Kraken.
Oh, come on. You can't give me the Okay, did they take on any dumb contracts when they came into the league? I don't think they
can neither
did.
confirm nor deny.
I'm fuck. Okay. I need to think. Who do they have on? I feel like it would be a D-man. Well, Giordano's gone and is off his contract. Maybe I shouldn't breathe into the microphone. Oh, fuck. Is it their goalie? Oh, is it Grubauer? Didn't they give Grubauer like 6.3 or something like that? I'm going with Grubauer. I'm going Grubauer.
Yeah, it's him, and he makes 5.9.
5.9 still. That's insane. That's absolutely fucking nuts.
Brutal. Awesome. Okay. LA Kings.
Okay. Well, I know Drew Doughty makes $11 million. So I'm going with Drew Doughty. It's like 11.6 I think he makes
it's 11 straight up for cap hit, but I was like, you know what? Maybe I wouldn't remember, like, because like Andre Kopitar makes 10. I was like,
nope. Drew Doughty negotiated his own contract.
Fuck that guy. Am I right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so now is the strange one. Philadelphia Flyers. So I'll give you a hint. It's not Sean Couturier because he is injured.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Not Sean Couturier.
Who could it be? I know they have Risto on a pretty dumb deal. Something for 5. I know he makes like 5 something. I wrote that down for part of my my preview for them.
God.
I remember them. Oh, but does anyone else make more money? Giroux's gone. Konechny, no. There's no way. He makes like 5 maybe. Farabee, same thing. I like D'Angelo. I know they signed D'Angelo just this season to like 5 point something. I'm gonna go with. I feel like it's Risto. Is it Risto? Is Risto?
That is incorrect.
Fuck. This game sucks.
It is Winnipeg Jets legend Kevin Hayes.
Oh yeah, and he makes 7 mil. Right.
Yes, so Kevin Hayes is the highest paid active player on the Philadelphia Flyers roster.
Fuck.
Okay, awesome. Okay, next. You should know this.
What's my score right now? Out of what?
Okay, I stopped keeping score because I felt bad because I gave you that one that had 2 players and you got one and not the other. So I don't know.
No. Okay, so that one you can give me a no on. I'm okay with you saying, or give me a half point. Give me a half point for that. I think that's
that's
fair.
why I don't like half points.
No, I don't care. Give me a half point, and then we'll see what it is at the end. It could be the tiebreaker.
While you ponder for hours over this next one, I will do the mental math.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, okay. Immediately Tyler Myers jumps out because he's tall. And you can't teach size,
You can't
kids.
teach
That's
size.
that's what I'm saying. Um,
That's what we're saying.
that's what we're saying. Okay, let me think. Who? Bo Horvat, maybe. I know Petey doesn't have a huge deal. I know same thing with Hughes because they were able to somehow get them both signed. Um, who could it be? Try not to have any dead air. Um, I think I want to go with Myers. Like, didn't they give him like 6 something mil?
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
That is incorrect.
Fuck.
It is Quinn Hughes.
What'd they give him? What was it?
7.85.
7.85. Wow. Or then it must have been Pedersen who took like a bridge or something. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I think he got bridged. Okay, now I screwed up my calculations, so next.
Do you need me to ponder for longer next time?
No, I had it and then I had to add one and then I got confused.
Oh,
That's
uh
what happened.
oh.
Okay, number 8. So you only got one more left after this. Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh, okay. Immediately Brent Burns jumps out because they took him on, and I think they took his full contract too, and he was making 8 something, and I know that they're maybe is Slavin making money? I can't remember. Oh, Aho makes 8.5 because the Canadians offer sheeted him. That's for sure. That's one. And I don't know if Burns was making more. Something tells me Burns makes 8.8, but his number is also 88, so maybe or was 88, so maybe that's what's telling me that. I don't know. I want to say Sebastian Aho at 8.5.
That is correct.
Let's go. Do you know what Burns makes? Can you remember?
8.
He makes 8? Okay, cool. God, I'm fucking good at this. I'm not actually, but
Hold
I got to
on.
pat myself on
Maybe
the
I'm
back.
wrong. Bro,
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, but it's all weird with retaining salary and stuff. But yeah, he only makes 8.
Okay.
Okay, last one.
They're retaining on that?
Looks like it.
That's wild.
Um,
Or
yeah, they're retaining 2.7 and they're paying 5.2. Okay,
that's kind of
last one.
mhm.
The Boston Bruins.
The Boston Bruins. Okay, everyone makes no money. The Bruins just no one makes money. If David Pastrnak could, he said he would play for free, but he obviously could do that. But he doesn't. So anyways. Okay, let's see. Who Charlie McAvoy, if he's not being paid the most, should be paid the most, I would guess. Pasternak's making like 6.67 or something like that, and he's on the last year of his deal. Marchand makes something similar to that as well too. So, and Bergeron just came back and re-signed, almost completely all in signing bonus, which we'll talk about later. Krejci just signed back too. I think I'm gonna go with Charles McAvoy, and I don't know what he makes, but I'm gonna say it's like 7.4.
So that is correct. It is Charlie McAvoy. He actually makes $9.5 million.
As he fucking should. Good.
Good
He
for
should
him.
be
Get your
making.
bag, King.
He's fucking good. He's really good. Anyways,
I feel like they're gonna like make films about what was going on in that locker room in conjunction with what was going on in the Winnipeg Jets locker room. Like it seems like the complete opposite thing where it's like everyone just wants out of Winnipeg so bad. And Boston Bruins, it's like the best players in the league are like, give me half of what my net worth or what my worth is. Give me half. I just want to be here.
give me half of my net worth. That'd be insane.
Net worth is not correct. That is. Oh my god. Anyways, so you definitely passed that. With flying colors. So good for you. Excellent.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
so now we'll get into what people are actually here for, which is the scorching hot takes. So I
Oh
was
hell
looking
yeah.
at our hot takes from the Western Conference, right? And I was like, you know what? Some of these are meh. So I tried to go a little bit bolder with my 3, but one of them is not that good. So I don't like it, and I'll give you what my backup option was. So that's a
Okay.
lot of talking for nothing. Hot take number one: Ottawa sucks. I think Ottawa. My hot take is that they finished like seventh in the division. I know people are like talking about like dark horse getting better. People are like fifth in the division. No, no, not yet. I don't see it. Their goaltending not good. Their defense atrocious. I don't think they're going to be that good this year.
I agree with that one. I think that they kind of also suffer from Columbus Blue Jackets syndrome of like they added some pieces but like didn't really it's that's there's more than just the pieces you added, unfortunately. So
Yeah, I don't really get their team. Some of their moves are strange, and they bring in like an old guy, and I'm like, who, why, like, why is Travis Hamonic playing for your team? What are you doing with this?
didn't they trade a third for him too, I think?
I
when
don't
when
remember.
when Vancouver was literally like, please someone take him. Please take him off our hands. We can't afford this man anymore. And then Ottawa was like, we'll give you a third. Anyway,
And
sorry.
then Vancouver's like, quick, sure, I guess we'll take that, even though
We'll
they're actually like celebrating in the back.
we'll run it past management really quickly. Give us a moment. All
Okay,
right.
what's your first hot take?
Okay, me? Okay. My first hot take. Jeremy Swayman of the Boston Bruins will be a Vezina finalist this year.
As opposed to Jeremy Swayman of the Who.
I don't. Can you just like come on, man? Like, I'm just giving more context, a little more build up. Anyways, I think that guy is very good. I think he's a super underrated goalie, and I think something will happen this year where maybe Allmark gets hurt, or just Swayman naturally takes over the net, and then I think he's really good. I just think he will. I don't know. I just think he's poised to really break out as a top goalie in the league. It seems like it's kind of his time age wise. So that is my first hot take.
Yeah, I like that. Like it'll be interesting to see how the Boston Bruins fare under a different coach. Like I still don't like that firing and whatnot, but I think they have a ton of really good players, and I think that he's set up for success in that way. Um, you know, top three goalies in the league is a stretch, so I like that as a hot take, but I think that's not a bad one whatsoever.
Hell yeah, let's go. All right,
Okay, this
number two.
one, mine is kind of like a dual-sided hot take. My hot take is that Florida does make the playoffs. So everyone, last year they were like, "Oh, Florida's so good," and then they hired Paul Maurice and they lost all their players, and everyone's like, "Now Florida is the worst in their division," and I was like, "No, I don't know." So I
I
think they squeak in.
I do need to acknowledge the irony of you saying that the team that won the President's Trophy last year, that your hot take is that the team that won the President's Trophy will make playoffs this next year. I just want you to understand that is what you are saying. Are you okay
Yep.
with saying is that too scorching hot for you?
Listen, her lukewarm takes, I guess, or whatever. But you
No,
understand where
I
I'm
get what you
coming
mean.
from.
We'll touch on that when we get
They're
to
just
the
a significantly worse team than they were last year, I think, and it'll be interesting to see. I
I
don't
would
know.
I would agree. See, if you would have said Paul Maurice is a Jack Adams finalist, that would have been
Hmm.
a hot take. That would have been, I think,
Mm.
where you could have gone with that. But
No,
I still like it. I get what you were going for. I completely understand.
he didn't bring Connor Hellebuck with him, so he won't be a Jack Adams finalist.
Hell yeah.
Okay, what's your hot take number two?
Hot take number two. I'm actually gonna move the one I had second to the last one because I think that one's funnier. Anyways, my second hot take. Jack Hughes surpasses 100 points this year. His previous best was 56 points. So I
And how
think
many
he's
games?
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just let me have my hot take, man. Come on. And like I don't know, and like I think it was like 50 games or something like that. So he was like
Okay,
he was just
no,
over a point per game. But I think this year he's got the good health. I think he emerges as a very clear like superstar player in the league, superstar number one center, and I think that this year he will surpass 100 points.
I like that. It sounds good, and I do hope for that for him. He seems lovely, nice
Oh
guy.
yeah.
So, okay, I saved my scorching hottest for last. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Patrick Laine wins the Rocket Richard.
Oh, you're such a Jets homer. All right, explain why. Tell me. Just
You
vibes.
know he has it in him. You know he has it in him, the ability to score at will, right? That not a lot of players do. And the last couple of years have been weird for him. You know, we understand his usage in Winnipeg was strange, and if they had, let him play his own game a little bit more, he would have scored a lot more goals. We get that. I think Columbus brought in some decent players to play with him. Some decent players named Johnny Gaudreau. And
Yeah,
I think
he's
that if they're able to play on the power play together, I think on that on its own will bring Patrick Laine to the point of being able to score on command. I understand that Austin Matthews is a little bit of a and Leon Draisaitl, both of them, right? Like, come on, that's why it's a hot take, right? That's why
it's a
it's a hot
hot
take.
take.
Do I think it's gonna happen?
That
No,
is
I
a
don't
hot
think it's gonna happen, but it's a very hot take.
that is a hot take. I'll give it to you. That is a hot take. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get the reasoning for it.
I
I'm
was
a
trying to
little.
compensate for my number two being lukewarm at the very best, so
I will give it to you. That is a hot take, but I'm a little skeptical, unfortunately.
gotta have
I
faith,
love him.
man.
I love him so much, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, on to my third one. Here we go. I'm gonna get yelled at by people and say that I'm a fan of this team because people always seem to think I am, but I'm not. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs will make it past the first round this year. They will do it. My third take is that the Leafs make the second round. I honestly would even go as far to say they make the Eastern Final. I don't think they win the cup necessarily. I'm not putting them in for that. I still have a lot of questions about their goaltending, but just on the basis of the season, I think they obviously make playoffs, and I have them getting past the first round finally, and hopefully Steve Dangle's heart doesn't explode when it happens. Yeah, that's my hot take. Do you agree or
I would
disagree?
have to I would have to agree on that one. You know it's gonna happen one of these years, and they're a good team, man. I as much as I wish they weren't, they are, and it's gonna happen one of these years. It's just a matter of time. It's not gonna be like this forever. They're not gonna keep losing the way they have been. Goaltending, you're right, is a question for sure. But it's not like the Leafs haven't been good enough to make it past the first round in the last 2 years, right? Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
the weirdness of it all. And I think it's bound to happen. Do you want to hear my honorary
Yeah, let's
or my
go.
honorable mention?
Go for it.
I wanted to use this, but I was like, you know what? It just feels too obscure and just saying it for the sake of saying it. I was gonna say a Buffalo Sabre is a Calder nominee.
So who would then include Jack Quinn,
Owen
Peyton
Power.
Doy, Peyton
Yeah,
Krebs.
Peyton Krebs. No, Peyton Krebs I don't think would qualify anymore. Would
I
he?
think he would. I don't think
I
he's
don't
played
know.
enough games. I don't know.
He was my wishy-washy one that I didn't know if he'd qualify. I didn't look into it too much. Um, my dark horse emotional investment German, Gigi Paterka. If he could see some success, he could be super good. Like I could see that.
I
And then
like him.
also, that's a boy, man. Like,
Do you think Matt Savoy plays this year?
no,
I
I don't think he plays this year. But I just think that they have some good youth, and if any of them were to have breakout seasons, I don't know. So that's why I like using team things like that. Like I think it's kind of fun to go bold, but I don't have enough faith in that prediction to make it a hot take. I think I have less faith in that than I do in Patrick Laine winning the Rocket Richard, which I don't think will happen either. So that's why I took it off my hot takes because I genuinely don't actually think it's gonna happen. But oh
That's funny.
well,
That's good. I like it.
yeah,
Some good hot takes here.
it's a little spice in there. But
A
yeah.
little
So
spice.
getting into hot takes, we were talking a little bit before when we were kind of planning out this episode, and I don't know what Brady's standings predictions are for the Metro or for the Atlantic, but it's definitely going to be a little bit more controversial than the Western Conference was, in my opinion. I think there is a lot more room for movement within people. Like we talked a little bit about the clear cut tops and bottoms and mushy middles, but I think this one is very much mushy everywhere, other than like the one or two terrible teams in each division kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this one. So, Brady, why don't you get started and tell me who you have as the last place team in the Metropolitan
Ooh,
Division?
we're starting from the bottom today. Okay, interesting. All right, good.
Why
Actually,
not?
that makes a lot more. There's a little more. Yeah, you're right. Because at the bottom, we kind of all know that the Philadelphia Flyers fucking suck. Um, I write whenever we do these I usually do a little prep. I take a look at the team just to make sure I remember how they change. Um, And I literally just have for the Flyers written down in all capital letters, Chuck Fletcher, LOL, dot dot dot, over the cap exclamation point. Is this team over the cap? Like, the biggest things is like how, why, what, for what reason does the Philadelphia Flyers decide before free agency in a summer where they're like, we could get Johnny Gaudreau? Do they decide that one, they're going to give $5 million to Tony DeAngelo? But wait, they're not even going to just sign Tony DeAngelo for $5 million. They're going to give up a fourth round pick in the draft that was this past year, a third round pick in the draft that's about to come up, and a second round pick in 2024. How are you going to give up a second, a third, and a fourth for Tony DeAngelo, who bear in mind, regardless of everything about him, he's a good offensive defenseman, but I don't think that's something that like the Flyers need, for example. If they really want offense, who's a good guy who's offensively minded? Johnny Gaudreau, who wanted to come home. But
Or Shane Gostisbehere.
or Shane Gostisbehere, who you like, yeah. And then I have right next to him written Ristolainen, who they traded the 14th overall pick with for a second in 2023, and then signed him to an extension this year for $5.1 million that goes until 2027.
Did someone say Nightmare Blunt rotation? Because
Oh my god, I'm sorry that I'm taking up all the time on this, but like, Jesus Christ. The one thing I'll say, Travis Sanheim will likely get moved at the deadline, so that'll be an interesting guy that they should be able to get some picks for. He is going to be a UFA at the end of the year. Good defenseman. And my last point is, I'm interested to see how Torts can come in here and see, if there's any guy to coach them and try to get them on track, I'm totally cool with Torts being their guy. I'm glad he's not here in Winnipeg, but I think in Philadelphia he fits the criteria of what they kind of need.
yeah, if someone said shake up, that's one of the guys I'm thinking of. So I have Philly at 8 for all the same reasons that you do.
Yeah, sorry.
And I think this is where it starts to get a little bit more controversial. Who do you have at 7?
Okay. This one I will admit there is an anti-bias. I don't like this team, and it's the Islanders. I have the Islanders at 7. Who do you have at 7? We'll discuss.
Oh, it's controversial. I have the New Jersey Devils.
You have the New Jersey Devils.
I do.
Whoa.
I do.
Okay.
I don't think they're there yet, man. I don't see it. I don't
Okay.
see it.
Do you want to hit on the Devils first, or do you want to hit on the Isles first? I'll let you go off because I kind of went off on Philly.
And again, I just think that there are so many teams in this division that have a little bit more that makes them a bit more special. I also goaltending, no. I don't trust their goaltending, and I don't really trust their coach a whole ton either. I'm kind of mid on both of those,
Mm-hmm.
so I worry, and I just feel like they have a bunch of unproven quantities kind of at play. I think they have potential to be good in a few years. Dougie Hamilton in a healthy season, I think, is gonna, have a very positive impact on this team. But just right now, I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't.
I will play literally devil's advocate.
Mhm.
And okay, the only reason I'll push back on this, I have the Devils at 5. So just missing playoffs. I'm a little more optimistic. The only reason is, well, first off, a full season of Hughes. If Hughes can stay, like healthy, like I said, 100 points. It's gonna happen. Book it. They signed Andre Palat, which is, it's a guy. It's I don't think that's a huge deal break or like a huge, moves the needle guy,
Moves
but
the needle, yeah.
but I still think it's a good addition. I think Dougie Hamilton should regress this season, have another good season. And then, like, I understand what you mean about the goaltending. I don't love Vitek Vanacek. I don't love Mackenzie Blackwood. But I also remember there were a couple years ago when we were talking about Mackenzie Blackwood being like the third guy on goalie on Team Canada. And so therefore if they can figure it out on the defensive end of things and actually help the goalies out a little bit better, you never know. And one thing you'll see with all of my rankings here, goaltending is a thing that I do not trust. Even from the most trustworthy goalies, I don't trust it. There will always be cast doubt, and that goes vice versa to bad goalies. I go, you never know. Like I remember once upon a time when like Martin Jones was like really really good for a while. Like it happens.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
No. No, I know what you mean for sure.
So, but I understand why you have the Devils so low. Where do you have the Isles?
Everything else at 5, and I have a feeling we have the same team at 6.
Yeah, we do. I think we probably do. So my reason I have the Isles so low, obviously Barry Trott's leaving, but is it Lane Lambert? I think is their new coach. I think he was an assistant with them. So, from my experience with Dave Lowry, being an assistant who got upgraded to head coach, I don't think much will change. But it is what it is. Um, I'm starting to think Barzal might be a little overrated. I think he does a lot of things that fancy stats people like zone entries. He's great in transition, but I think that he maybe I don't know. It's been a lot of years where we're going waiting for him to break out and really kind of prove that he's a top guy. But also at the same time, I go like, who does he really have around him? Like, I'm not a huge fan of Anders Lee. Brock Nelson is whatever. He can score goals. Same with Anders Lee. But like, I don't know. The only thing I'll say for them, I do like their defense. Obviously Brian Pulak's good. Adam Pellick's good. Noah Dobson looks like he's gonna be fucking fantastic. So that's where I'll give him, and also their goaltending, like Sorokin, fantastic also. But I also just don't really like the Isles. I'll be honest with you. So I'll always be pessimistic on them unless they have something jumping out of the page telling me that they will be better than I expect. But fuck those
Do you
guys.
hate them because of how they treated the captain of your favorite hockey team, the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Oh man, yeah, that must be it. It's all coming
Yeah.
together. It's all coming together. No, I don't know what it is. I just there's something about them. They just bug me as a team. They
Yeah.
also they
No,
also had
that's
Barry
fair.
Trotz for forever and played a boring style of game.
They had him
But
for like 3 years.
I well, you know what? Just okay. Just let me say what I'm gonna say here, man.
Check the script.
Check.
Brady, no.
Hell yeah.
Um, no, I agree with all the things that you said. Also, like Anthony Beauvillier, not good. I don't think. I think he's just bad. I think he might not be very
Yeah.
good. I don't know. Like, and same with Barzell. I think he just not. I don't know. But they play low event hockey, right? Like that's Barry
Yeah.
Trotz's coaching with that team. That's what they did. And like you said, they have an assistant as their head coach, so it's likely going to remain relatively similar.
Hmm.
But I think that's probably the best course of action with that team because, like you said, who do they have? Who is going to score the Anders Lee? Like, really?
And
No, I don't think that's the case.
and if they do do better, like
You said doo doo.
uh, fuck off. No, but if they do end up do sorry, not they end up doing, but if they do end up changing some stuff under Lane Lambert, like if they don't play as much of a structured defensive game, then like maybe we find out if Sorokin was just kind of in a really good system and benefited from like I always know where the shots are going to be coming from, and therefore like
hmm
that whole Barry
hmm
Trotz style bit. But
God, I want him so bad.
I miss him.
Come back, Barry. I
Come
miss
back,
him.
Barry,
But yeah,
please.
no. And again, if they end up at seventh, I wouldn't be overly surprised. But I would be more surprised if they ended up in seventh than I would be if they ended up in fifth. I do think they're a better team than they were last year. I think the
Mhm.
start of their season was weird. I think everything was just weird about last year for them. But I think they're a better hockey team than that. And I think we see it a little bit more this year. But
I agree.
so am I safe to assume that you have Columbus at number 6?
I do have Columbus at number 6. So that is correct.
Do tell.
Um, all right. Well, obviously, a little guy named Johnny Goudreau signed there, which is always good. But I think the big issue for the Blue Jackets is that their center position looks like dog shit. I'm looking at it right now, and Boone Jenner's their top center, followed by Jack Roslovic, Cole Sillinger, Sean Corrali. I think Cole Sillinger is going to be great. I think Kent Johnson's going to be a fucking stud. For some reason, internally, something's telling me that Kent Johnson at once played center. I could be wrong. I feel
No
like
idea.
I have no idea, but if he does play center, put him in the middle of Goudreau and Line, and oh my god, you have a Calder winner right there. Um, but I don't know. The biggest issue I have is their defense. Like other
So,
than other
so
than
bad.
like Zach Werenski and Adam Boakfist, like you can maybe put Gavrikov in that like conversation of on the good side of defense that they have. But like other than that, it's like they signed, obviously, as we talked about last episode, Eric Goodbranson in order to get Johnny Hockey to come. I don't know if that's actually the case, but we always joked about that. Um, Eric Goodbranson sucks, just to say it straight up. Jake Bean hasn't really panned out to be as good as maybe hoped originally. And I know next to nothing about Andrew Peaky or Peak. I don't know how to pronounce his name. That just goes to
So
show I
little
don't
that you don't
fucking
even know how
know.
to say his name. Yeah,
Exactly.
fair.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
their back end is ugly.
yeah. And I think that Merzlikins is okay, but Corpusalo is dog shit in my opinion. I think he's a
Yes.
bad goalie. Um, I'll be honest with you. I actually want I didn't want to. I think that Columbus actually is in my 7th spot. I think the Islanders are better than them. But with them signing Goudreau and also my love for Line, I wanted to have them above the Islanders, so I wrote them above the Islanders. But like I don't know. A lot of these teams could be like swapped, but I do believe I will stand by my Devils above Columbus and the Islanders. I will stand by that one for
Okay.
sure.
No, and that's fair. I can respect that. I think Columbus, again, it's giving Ottawa, it's giving
Yeah,
whatever, with just the weirdness of like, why did you trade Oliver Bjorkstrand for that return? What was
yeah.
you
Like
did this for what?
that's
Like, there's just
that.
a lot of weirdness with that team
Like
too.
I get they wanted to have the more cap space, but like don't sign Eric Goodbranson, and
Right. No,
that'll save you a lot
literally.
of trouble.
No, for sure.
But
Yeah,
they
no. Like, and I want to give the benefit of the doubt to Goodrow, Sillinger, and Kent Johnson. I love them. I love all three of them. I want to see them do well, and I think that they will.
and Line.
If but he's already there. I mean, like the new guys who are
Oh,
gonna
okay,
have
okay,
like
I got it, got it, got it.
their first year with the team. Oh, obviously, Line. It's all for Line. It's all ever been for Line.
And
I
hey,
am like,
the Jets stole Kevin Stenlund from them, so how are they going to recover from that? I'm sorry, that
God, hey.
was
No, it's like, hey, do you remember like those jokes from like years ago when Claude Julien they're talking about how he wore like a Habs shirt under every suit he ever wore, like coaching the Boston
yeah.
Bruins, like joke. That's literally me talking about anything. It's always like my Patrick Laine inside, always. Like
That's
hey,
funny.
who do you have at number 4?
Oh, okay. So I originally had a different team, but then I switched it because I felt bad. Not that I felt bad. I have the Caps at number 4. Uh, who do you have?
I have the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Whoa. Okay. Interesting.
Hmm.
Interesting. 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 The team I originally had. Oh, I'll get there when we get to 3. But who do you? I guess we'll touch on the Caps first quickly. My main reason. I think that the Caps are a bit better of a team this year. I think their goaltending will be better. So having
Oh yeah.
Kemper and I didn't add this in my hot take, but I think Charlie Lindgren is going to be a really good signing for them. I think that he will be able to push to make that a tandem situation between him and Kemper. But the main thing for me, their defense is questionable. Obviously, we have the Ovechkin question. He's going to score 50 again, even though we look at him and go, you have to be like getting old and slowing down. But the man will never slow down. He will surpass Gretzky. That is another hot take. I don't know if that's a hot take anymore, but
It needs
he's.
to happen. It needs to happen.
I think he'll keep playing until it happens. My other thing that I do think they're better, Dylan Strome. I think Dylan Strome is a really good signing for them, and like obviously Backstrom's going to be out. I think all year. I'm not.
Yeah.
I think all year, but like that's a guy who like if you're looking at fancy numbers is better than Backstrom. Like we'll see if he can actually do it in like a second line role, but I think Dylan Strome is a great addition for them. But
And I think a full healthy season of Anthony Mantha is also going to be
that's
a
true.
great internal addition for them. I
Hmm.
love Anthony Mantha. Um, yeah, and like I think I have them at 3. They're my third place team. I think the goalie upgrade and Ovechkin being Ovechkin and fully healthy Mantha, Oshie, I don't think played much last year. I think he was hurt for a good chunk too, right? Like I think they still just have some good pieces that I think they're gonna be good. Again, mushy kind of up there. I'm not married
Yeah.
to it, but I have them sitting at my number 3.
I would say definitely like this the second, third, and fourth spot in the Metro are like for me wishy washy. Could end up anyway. Um, Going to the Pens because you had the Pens at 4, right? You said.
Mhm.
Why do you have the Pens at 4?
As opposed to what? Like to the middle is just so it's the middle. Like the Penguins will be good until Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin retire from the league. Like they won't they'll not good because good is borderline, but like those guys can produce and they can contribute and they will continue to do so. I love their coach. I am so high on their coach. I think Jake Gensel is a player that is still somehow not spoken enough about when people talk about, you know, great goal scorers and great players in the league right now that consistently put up the numbers that they need from their teams.
Mhm.
I have them at 4 because I don't know if there's anything particularly special about them. I don't know how much faith I have in their defense as a whole, their goaltending as a whole, their forward depth as a whole. I have them at 4.
Okay, so I will play Penguins advocate for this one. Um, sorry. Okay, so my main things. Last year they had so many fucking injuries. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe that's just the case. I mean, the Penguins always have injuries.
You rant for a bit. I need to find the tweet. I need to find the tweet.
I know which one you're looking for. The Mark Donk tweet. The Buzz Flibbit and Mark Donk who score like 30 goals a year. Yeah, that's gonna be like Drew O'Connor and fucking again Teddy Bluger. Even though now Teddy Bluger is kind of a meme, but
Jason Zucker, literally.
oh, do not speak ill of Jason Zucker. Jason Zucker slaps. That is a guy who I've always liked since he was back on the Wild. Anyways, going back to them, I think if they can get pretty some healthy seasons out of Crosby. I don't. Malkin will only ever play like at max 70 games, so that it is what it is. But I like their center depth is insane. Like having Crosby, Malkin, Carter, and then having Carter as a guy who can jump up. They were able to keep Ricard Raquel from their trade in the offseason, or not in the offseason, the trade
Yeah,
deadline.
I totally knew that.
Yeah, you totally knew that. I remember. Yeah, throwback to last episode. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just optimistic. I think they have a great top six, and they have at least a guy in Jeff Carter on the third line who can be a good third line guy and also jump up when injuries come up. Obviously, they lost Evan Rodriguez, which is tough.
Yes.
Looking at their defense, I think their third pair stinks, but I have written down here. I think they have maybe the most underrated second pair in one of the most underrated second pairs in hockey, which is Marcus Pettersson and Jeff Petrie. I like both those guys. I really do. I think Jeff Petrie is an animal, and hopefully he can have a bounce back season. Like last year, he kind of stunk, but he was playing for Montreal, and I don't blame him for stinking on Montreal. The Montreal stunk. And then the only other thing is, can Tristan Jarry still put it together? He's been pretty good the past few seasons. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be an all-star or anything like that, but I think he'll be serviceable. And Casey DeSmith sucks, so that's all I
Yeah.
have to say on the Penguins. My point.
I was really between it on the Penguins and the Caps flipping 3 and 4 there. I wasn't sure, but
I
like I understand everything you're saying. I'm just a little bit more pessimistic, particularly about Tristan Jarry, but
and I totally get that. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it. I have the Pens not at 3. I have the Pens at 2,
okay,
which is
interesting. So
great, which is wild. So, I guess that leads into who I have at 3, which is the Rangers.
yeah,
Where
and
do
I have them at 2.
you have them at 2? And
I
so
do.
you had Penguins, Caps, Rangers going upwards.
Correct.
Cool. Okay. Rangers. I originally wrote them down as 4. The only reason I did, and then as I looked at them, I'm like, you know what? Okay, I got to bring them back up. My main thing is last year they got a one of the best, like I think almost the best goaltending season in the Cap era ever from Igor
Oh,
Shesterkin.
in recent memory, literally,
Like
yeah.
he was fucking nuts. And so my only question, I think he's going to be a good goalie, but I think regression is natural when you put up like at one point in the season he was like a 950 for like most of the season.
No one does that consistently. It's never
Exactly.
happened.
So my main thing with them is can Igor Shesterkin do it again? I think they had a really good signing in bringing Vinny Trocheck in. Um, they seem to have found magic with the kid line in the playoffs. So looking at them, I think they have a really solid top 9, like on forwards. And I actually like the composition having. They kind of have 2 guys. They have like Kreider and Zibanejad together. They've got Trocheck and Panarin together, and then they have the kid line. And so they have that kind of thing where they just have two main partners and then a guy on the right, like just having Sammy Blay or Vitaly
Which is how
Kravtsov.
it should be.
Absolutely, that is my favorite
Big
way
fan of the
to.
pairings.
Big fan. And then even on D, like Adam Fox, insane. Jacob Truba is still good. Keandre Miller, Ryan Lindgren, all great guys. Braden Schneider's supposed to be really good. Um,
Yeah.
as I sit here, I can easily talk myself into them being second, maybe even first in the division. But my main thing, as I said before, I'm always like, can goalies continue to do what they did? So that's my big question, and I just think there will be a little bit of regression, and who knows?
See, and I fully agree. And my thing is just that I also have not a lot of faith in Washington and Pittsburgh for the most part. So that's why I do think that Shesterkin is going to regress, not significantly, but to a point where it'll factor into the team's results just because of how inflated they were by his performance last year.
Mhm.
But I still think that they end up doing well. And again, same as you, I don't like if they end up at third or fourth, I'm not going to freak out and question everything I've ever known, right? Like it is what it is, but I love their defense. And like you said, I love the way they've structured some of their forwards. Like I think there's room for some improvement on some of that stuff because I think they still have a couple of weird guys in weird
Mhm.
places, but I don't think whew,
That was a tough one, eh?
that didn't go well for me. I don't think Gallant is afraid to try things.
Mhm.
So I'm optimistic about them.
Oh, the,
And I think they'll do okay.
my last questionable thing there is, can Chris Kreider score 52 goals again? Which is,
Absolutely freaking not.
I don't think is true. I wish I could see his shooting percentage. I went to the wrong website to bring it up. Anyways, not the point. So number one, he shot 20% last year. Okay, but he's done that for the year before. He shot 19. Anyways, not the point. Um, who do we both have at number one, Liz? Uh,
Paul Stastny and the Carolina
Hell
Hurricanes.
yeah, let's go. Yeah, I mean it's the Hurricanes are just kind of like the team that feels the most natural. Like again,
Hmm.
2, 3, and 4 in that division can go any way. 5, 6, and 7 could go any way. The Flyers are stuck at 8, and in my opinion, the Hurricanes are stuck at 1, barring an injury to Freddie Anderson. But even their backup Branta is pretty good, and they have
Wait,
don't
do you think Freddie Anderson could get hurt?
I mean, because I'm clearly a Leafs fan. Yeah, he kind of got hurt all the time in Toronto, man. Um, sorry. But no, like looking at their team, the biggest thing is I would say health, making sure that Freddie can play a full season. Last year he was fantastic, showed he was the Freddie Anderson he was before. Antti Ranta is also really good, but also very injury prone. So, but either way, I think the Hurricanes have kind of shown that they don't really need goaltending absolutely to get it done, at least in the regular season. And adding, Paul Stastny, adding Brent Burns instead of Tony DeAngelo. The funniest thing is like I saw a meme right when the Brent Burns trade happened, when it was like Brent Burns coming in being like, "Hey, just so you guys know, like I like to shoot the puck a lot." And it was just the video. I can't remember who it is because that ain't no problem. That ain't no problem. That ain't no problem. You can do that. So yeah, Brent Burns fits exactly the Hurricane style of just shoot the puck like fucking crazy, and he has a great shot, and I think is a super big sleeper in fantasy this year. Um, my big questions for them would be, can Kotkaniemi fill in on that and actually become like a second line center, where Trocheck was playing last year? Can Seth Jarvis continue to take a step? Uh,
Yes.
yeah, big Seth Jarvis guy over here.
I
Hell
didn't
yeah,
want us to draft him, but I want him to succeed.
I agree. I think that yeah, I definitely agree. Um, and then yeah, you got to cheer for Paul Stastny. Hope he can
Mm.
hope he can do well. Hope he can win a cup over there. I would love to see the Hurricanes win the cup, by the way. But yeah, so I mean, they're just a good team. What can I say? Like
Yeah.
and they play a good style. Got one of the best coaches in the league. I don't know. You got anything to
One of the
add?
hottest coaches in the league.
Oh, for
That's
sure,
all I have to add.
for sure,
Um,
bud.
yeah. That's the whole thing. I think Jacob Slavin's really good too. I
Yeah.
think Jordan Martinook is a fun player to kind of slot up and down in the lineup wherever you need him. Big team player
Isn't
guy.
Don't you have an interest in Jordan Martinook? Isn't one of your friends like cousins with him or something
Oh
like that?
yeah, yeah. How did you know that?
I think
Yeah.
I can't remember how I knew that. I think I remember you mentioning that he came and like met you guys after the game or something like that.
Oh, I've
Eh,
never met Jordan Martinick,
oh,
but
I
yeah,
don't know.
no,
I don't know.
he
Anyways,
yeah
not the
he
point.
is. No,
um,
but like and again, because yeah, no, one of my friends, and I just remember hearing, lots of good things about him, like even when he was in Arizona and stuff like that, like like the energy. I just feel like they have good energy as a
I
team.
agree.
And like Jordan Martinick is not one of the best players on their team, but he has a letter on his jersey, which is how it should be, sort of thing. I think that,
Mhm.
the energy, the vibes, Rod Brindamore rocks. I think a lot of their players rock. Getting Max Domi and Tony D'Angelo out of
Hell yeah.
there helps with that significantly. So
And
I think they're really good.
Brent Burns, good vibes. Brent Burns has great vibes.
He does. He
Hell yeah.
does.
Anyways, yeah, I mean that's the Metro. Makes sense. Who do you have making playoffs here? Is it just the obviously the top three, and then who do you have? I have the
Um,
top four, which is the Hurricanes, the Pens, Caps, or sorry, Pens, Rags, and Caps, making playoffs in this division. But it's tough because the Atlantic is also a pretty crazy and wacky division as well.
I'm pretty flippy floppy on this one. I think I'm 4-4, but if I were to go five, it
I guess
would go to the Metro, actually, as weird
yeah.
as that sounds.
I actually agree with that. I think, even though I have the Devils
Interesting.
and you have the Isles, but the Isles should hope. Also, sorry, I just remembered this. Also, the Islanders are not going to be starting their season on like a 17 game road trip this year.
No,
So
that's what I
like,
was talking about their last year being so strange.
yeah,
It
like
was just weird.
yeah.
I don't know,
Anyways,
man.
I don't want to talk about the Islanders anymore. Sorry to any Islanders fans out there. It's nothing personal. Um,
But fuck those guys.
but fuck those guys. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. They've just always been a team I dislike. If you're wondering, they're not my most hated team. That would be the Blackhawks, as I grew up a Canucks fan, and also the Canadians because Canadians fans are fucking annoying. Also, much love to all the Canadians fans. Please don't click off. I'm sorry, I lied. I
You
speak French.
cannot say you cannot dislike a team because of a fan base and not include Toronto in there. That is insufferable. What is
the
wrong with you?
the okay, here's the issue. I'll be honest. It comes from childhood. I always, when growing up, um, of the two teams, I liked Matt Sundin. I liked Curtis Joseph. So like I found players I liked on the Leafs. It wasn't like I was a Leafs fan. I was just like, oh yeah, I like these guys. And then some of my closest friends were Canadians fans growing up, which like naturally brews a bit of a rivalry. And like I wasn't, again, not a Leafs fan. I'm just saying, as someone who has friends who were Canadians fans, it was very easy for me to go, fuck the Canadians. They stink. I hate them. I don't hate them. There's a lot of players on the team I like, but it's just you gotta stay true to
Or
your
you can be
childhood
like
roots.
me and say, I hate them both. It's easy enough to do.
That's fair. Yeah. I maybe on another episode we can delve into where I land on the Leafs. I do unfortunately want good things to happen to them, but I also do understand why they're so insufferable. But I also think it's one of those.
The worst.
Okay, this is
Sorry, I'm
my
very passionate about that.
no, I agree. And the thing is, there's never going to be a moment where Leafs fans aren't the worst because everyone treats them like the worst, and it's because they are the worst. So it's one of those things where it's like you're everyone is trapped in a box where everyone goes, "Oh my god, Leafs fans are so fucking annoying. They cry about every call," which they do. I absolutely
They
agree.
do. The
Liz,
league's
hey,
anti-bias against the Leafs.
Liz knows exactly who I'm thinking about when I say they complain about every fucking call. I completely agree, and I think it is also a bit of the symptom of like the biggest fan base is the loudest fan base, and so
Yes.
yeah. I don't know. I just think that it'll never be solved until I think unfortunately Leafs fans be the bigger person, which will never happen, and just stop being annoying, and which will never happen.
I
So
fully admit to that they are the worst because there is the most of them, but that doesn't mean that they're not the worst. They still are. They
oh,
still suck
I
so
agree,
much.
but I also think it is partially due in fact because they've been the worst for so long that it's like there's no escaping that. They have to
Yeah, no.
it's like how like Winnipeg, like there's like Winnipeg syndrome where we like have to like play up our like things that are fun here to be like, oh, we do actually have an airport, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like always going to be that like you're trying to prove yourself to not be annoying, which no matter what, everyone will go, fuck you, shut up. So anyway, it's not the point, but we can move on. We've talked about this for
Anyway,
too long.
moving on.
Sorry.
Let's go backwards this time. Who do you have first in the Atlantic? I have the Leafs.
I have the Leafs. Yeah. I mean, hey, what can you say? Matthews is a fucking animal. Hot take. What I think he last year was the best player in the league. I mean, obviously he got the MVP, but like, defense does matter. Unfortunately, McDavid doesn't play it as much. Doesn't mean McDavid's a bad player. But Austin Matthews genuinely was like a 200-foot player last year and scored 60 goals, which is fucking insane.
I think if Connor McDavid's possession numbers were higher, then I would feel it. Because it's like, I don't give a shit if he doesn't play defense, but he had to play it more than he should have.
Okay,
Because, like, I feel.
I I have a question. Is it possible that Connor McDavid's possession numbers are worse because he gets the puck and like this is all and potentially scores quicker, which means he doesn't hold on to the possession?
No,
And
and see,
like, is that
that's why I
possible?
love stats. Absolutely, it is. That's why I love stats because of how nuanced they are, and you can look at every single one of those things. But he also, it's not like he scores every single time he's on the ice, right? So it's
Hmm.
like, but that is very
Interesting.
reasonable.
Hmm.
Interesting.
I've never thought
Hmm.
of it like that until just literally this moment.
That's
Anyways.
actually interesting. Some like stats guy will listen to this and be like, "Oh, these guys are stupid. What the
Yeah.
heck?" But like, it's a valid thought. I don't
It
know. I
is.
don't know.
Anyways, yeah, going back to them, like they're what can you say? It's the Leafs. The biggest question mark is going to be obviously can Matt Murray and Ilya Samsonov be good and stay healthy. I think that one of them will figure it out. I would hope. But even if they don't, regardless, like I was saying about Carolina, for regular season success, you don't need a goalie necessarily.
And your
And
team can score 6 goals a game on
exactly,
command, right? You
exactly,
don't need a goalie. And
exactly.
so I'm not too worried about it. Even same thing with their defense. Is their defense that good?
I actually don't mind that. Like I think that they've got some old guys. Like it's funny that Giordano and Muzzin are both still there, even though and Hall. Like it felt like one of those three had to get traded
Yeah.
this year, but you know,
But like looking at all the other teams I have winning the divisions, I haven't thought about this extensively, but I would say they probably have the worst defense of any of the teams that I
yeah,
put
that's
at
fair.
the top. Yes, I
I
would say that.
mm,
Yes, very much.
no.
Carolina, Calgary, and
Oh, never.
Colorado.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood what you meant by the top.
Oh,
I thought you meant
sorry.
in the Atlantic. My bad.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
no, sorry.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Colorado
So like
definitely has
I'm not
better.
high on their defense in any way, shape, or form. So
No, but I think they play a good team game, and like again, if you can
hmm
score goals, that's the secret sauce to everything. And I think that they've got some pretty like I think Robertson. I don't know. I unfortunately am exposed to a lot more Leaf stuff just because of some of my friends. Um, but like it looks like Nick Robertson's actually going to make the team this year, and he's got a fucking cannon, which is great for them. So he might play second line. Uh, I don't know, Dennis Mulligan, which is really funny. Seems to be good too. I don't know. It seems like they're actually going to get some peripheral help on the bottom six side of things, and maybe a guy who can slot up onto the second line. So good for them. Again, biggest question mark is easily the goaltending, but barring injuries, I think one of them will figure it out at some point. But yeah, that's just me.
yeah, absolutely. Fully agreed. Who do you have at number two?
Ooh, number two, I've got Tampa. Um, so the main thing is with Tampa, like Tampa is a team that, sorry, going back with the Atlantic, like any of these teams could be anywhere. I really struggled with placing 2 and 3. I couldn't really decide, but I think Tampa, having a full year of Brandon Hagel, and having Nick Paul, both be on, for the full year, will do wonders for them. Again, they don't really seem like a team that needs to try all that much in the regular season. But as long as they can stay away from injuries, it seems like they've got great. It's the fucking Lightning. What do you want me to say about them? They've got Vasilevsky. They've got good defense. That like the biggest thing is that like I guess Ryan McDonough left, but
Big deal.
other than that, like who cares? Like they still have Hedman. They still have Sergachev. They
They
still
have the
have,
same core that's carried them through their dynasty, if
yeah,
that's what you want to call it.
like
That's a very
it's
controversial term. I
it's
don't know
it's
if you want to call it that,
it's
but
the closest thing to a dynasty in the Cap era, I would say.
Chicago Blackhawks, brother.
No, I don't. Fuck them. I don't care. I don't care. No, screw I also hate the
Okay.
Blackhawks, as I said before. No, I mean I mean they. You know what I mean. Closest thing to a dynasty. I guess you can give it to the Blackhawks, but I think you got to win back to back cups to be considered a dynasty, in my opinion. But that's just one
Fair.
man's opinion. And also, I'm probably just moving the goalposts because I don't like the Blackhawks. Um,
Also, I don't want to take away from the term dynasty because that's a big word. And
it
if we
is
just give it to like 8 teams in the last 20 years, it's like,
exactly. The true
yeah.
dynasties are the Oilers and the fucking Islanders back in the
The
day.
Islanders,
The
yeah,
Islanders,
yeah.
oh, foreigner. Dude, imagine being an Islanders fan during the 80s. That would have been so sick. Imagine winning one cup, let alone four in a row.
Imagine not crying yourself to sleep over your hockey team every single day.
Imagine
Man. Okay, I have Tampa at number 2 as well.
imagine not debating the sixth defenseman spot and constantly just so that you can get fourth into the division at best. Anyways, sorry, not about the Jets. Yeah, it's Tampa. What can you say?
Not about the Leafs.
It's not about the
It's
Leafs.
Tampa. What can
Yeah,
you say is right?
yeah.
No, for sure. Who do you have at 3? This is where it
I
gets more interesting, I
I
think.
have the Bruins. I'm lower
So
on
do
the.
I. Maybe not so interesting.
Again, I could very conceivably see the Bruins being number two. I could see the Panthers being number two, but at the same time, I kind of wanted to shit on the Panthers a little bit just because, you know, it's fun. Also, Paul Maurice, LOL. We'll get to that in a bit. Um,
Paul Maurice, LOL, so true.
my main thing with the Bruins is it's kind of their, everyone's been saying it's kind of their last dance season. Like, I think it's really cool and really interesting what they did with Bergeron and Krejci's contracts, giving them all signing bonuses, which means it's all going to get pushed to next year. So it won't affect their cap this year. That's super duper smart if you're going to go for it in one final kind of hurrah. But the main thing is injuries. Obviously, Brad Marchand's out for till like Thanksgiving kind of thing. I don't really know for a couple months.
Like,
I think
oh, oh, American Thanksgiving. I was like, girl, that's a week. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yes, American Thanksgiving. Sorry.
Right.
And Charlie McAvoy's out for a while now too. Um, again, as I said before, I'm pretty high on Jeremy Swayman. I think that he will be able to take over and be a force in the net. So I think that he'll be able to stabilize them. Again, they still have great guys like Taylor Hall, Pasta, Berge. I mean, it's the Bruins. What can you say? I'm
Yeah, I think
imagining.
it's perfectly summed up by a Dom Lucian tweet that I saw earlier today. It was like, I regret to inform you that the Bruins are still good because
Yeah,
they just are,
they
and
just are.
it'll be interesting to see how they adjust the coaching change. I know we talked about this a little bit before when we were talking about your
Hmm.
Swayman Vezina nominee point, but their players are so good, man. Like I cannot say enough good things about Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, and Patrice Bergeron. All three of them, fantastic hockey players in their own ways. I love
Hmm.
them to bits. So here's to hoping for good health for all of them. And I like the Bruins. I know
Hmm.
that's people are always like the Bruins are so dirty. I've never understood the concept of a dirty team. They literally just vibe and mind their business like the way every other team does. Like I don't get it.
Okay,
Like
as a Canucks fan in 2011,
mm,
I need to say the Bruins are dirty. I need to stand up for the Canucks because they got absolutely manhandled that series. Anyways, but yeah, they nowadays again that's over 10 years ago, so I should probably stop my crying. Um
right.
but yeah, no, they're a fun team. Like the only thing I would say is, oh, sorry, I wanted to say, I think Hampus Lindholm was a really good addition on D.
Yes.
That's like a really underrated one that I because they traded for him and then he got hurt immediately, and so that you never really saw what he could do. But I think that him and like McAvoy, that's a fucking great first pair. And then it falls off to Derek Forbort on the second pair, but we won't talk about
Mm.
that. Yeah, it's the Bruins, big bad Bruins, and they're always going to make playoffs. Again, I regret to inform you, the Bruins are still good.
Yeah, 100%. But I don't regret it. I'm happy for them because I also hate every team in the Atlantic Division. um, who do you have at number 4?
I have Pomo and the Panthers,
So do
unfortunately.
I.
Um, I think they are definitely worse off from last year. The biggest thing is their defense. Um, Ekblad will hopefully be alive for the entire season, as he kind of went down for a bit last year. But um, I really like Anton Lundell. He was a guy who I definitely wanted, but Cole Perfetti graciously fell to us, so I'm very happy we got him because he's a stud. But yeah, no, they just I'm just like looking at their team and they just seem a lot thinner. Like having, like I know it's dumb, but like having Rudolph Balcers on your top line with Barkov and Verhage feels weird. Not putting Kachuk on your top line feels really weird. I don't know. I just don't believe in Paul Maurice as we obviously say, but who knows? Maybe he'll come in and actually give a shit because he's at a new job, and happy because he's living in fucking Florida. Also not shouts out, but like hope everything. If we do have anyone listening in Florida, I hope everything is going okay. The hurricanes have been kind of nuts, so hope everything's going well. But other than that, going back to hockey, their defense is really thin. Like losing Mackenzie Weegar, I think, is going to be a gigantic, a huge loss, like an unforeseen loss. Because like other than Ekblad, like the only good D they have is like I guess you could say like Gustav Forsling's okay.
What about Radko Gudas, bro?
Oh, how about Mark Stahl? How about that?
Oh,
But yeah,
oh God.
and then obviously their goaltending. Is Spencer Knight actually gonna break out and be a starter? Did you see the extension they gave him?
It feels weird.
It, I was breaking it down with a couple of friends in a group chat the other day, and if they gave him 4.5 on an extension for 3 years. It doesn't start this year; it starts the year after this year. So
Mhm.
my big question is 4.5 is a lot to give a goalie when you have Bobrovsky on your team who's making like 10 million.
10 million, yeah.
You should have had
And
him in your game for cap hits. That would have been good. Um but like the thing is I just don't understand the timing of it cuz it's like if you're I just don't understand not waiting like a couple weeks into the season, seeing what you have. Because Bobrovsky's, still a
yeah.
goalie. Like at the end of the day, he could potentially still come out and show that he's like obviously not worth his $10 million, but still can play well. Like goalies do that all the time. They take a year or two off and then they come back being great. It's the Pecorine syndrome, that I feel like Bobrovsky kind of has. And so giving Spencer Knight that extension like so soon just feels early, and giving him so much like 4.5 is a lot to give a
To a
goalie
backup.
to a
Imagine
backup
having
goalie. Yeah,
$15 million tied up on your goaltending.
that's insane.
That's nuts.
But also like it also doesn't really make sense because it's like by the time you figure out if he's the starter, like it's like a bridge contract, but you gave him a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it's like
it's
who the hell's gonna want your $10 million backup? It's
well,
like, what are you gonna do with it? Like, it's just a strange.
it's not even that. It's I just don't understand the timing because like regardless, you have Bobrovsky. It is what it is. Like you're not getting rid of that contract unless you give Arizona 1,000 picks. Like, but I don't know. Anyways, I have them at 4. We can move on. I think we've talked enough about the Panthers. Who do you have at
Yeah,
5?
I have the Detroit Red Wings.
I don't have the Detroit Red Wings. I
Ooh,
have the
a
Sens. I
discrepancy.
have the Sens. But I
Hmm.
uh, let's talk about the Red Wings first. You
I'd love
go
to talk about the Red Wings
go
first.
go
Yeah,
off, go
no,
off, Queen.
they made a lot of moves this summer. Okay, here's my thing. So we always talk about like, Bearsball's a great GM and all this, but it's like, oh, Stevie Y built up that Tampa team and this kind of stuff. He goes to Detroit. I don't really like a lot of what he's done over there, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like they should have been a little bit better a little bit earlier. I feel like this rebuild is taking a very long time.
In Detroit?
I don't know. Yes. That's kind of just how I feel. But, they've drafted pretty well. I've liked a couple of the people that they brought in. Again, you have the Ben Sherratt contracts. Didn't they, who did they just, the goalie they just got?
Billy Huso.
Oh, no, never mind. I like that one.
Oh,
That's good.
Nedeljkovic?
No, I was thinking of who they got rid of. Never mind. Don't listen to me talk about that specifically. I just, some of the things have been odd, but I like a lot of what they did
Hmm,
this year. This, like Andrew Kopp, great signing.
great
Is
signing.
that a little bit biased? Probably. But Ben Sherratt, bad signing. Is
Bad
that a
signing.
little bit biased? Also, probably. Um, but I love their kids. I love Dylan Larkin. I think they have a lot of good pieces that have potential. I don't know if they will reach that potential. They have high ceiling pieces, but their floor I think is still quite low, so
Mhm.
there is worry there. But I also just have not a lot of faith in the teams below them as well. So it's kind of like a flip-flop in that way.
That's fair. And they basically have a completely new second line this year because, like, David Perron, good signing. I hate the guy, but good signing. Andrew Kropp, great signing, as you said. But also Jacob Vrana. Like, he only played like 26 games
I
last year,
love
and
him.
he is, analytics starting, darling, and he's just good in general. So yeah, so having a completely new second line to go behind the Bertuzzi, Larkin, Raymond. Also, Bertuzzi will get to play in all the games this year. He doesn't have to stay in the U.S. all year, so that's
Everybody
kind.
say it with me. Fuck that guy.
But yeah, and then even like a guy like Dom Kubalik on the third line, good ad. Uh, like fine, like on the third line, that's a fine ad. I don't care.
It's a fine ad. I don't know
It's
how much
whatever.
money he makes, but it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, you get like, man, Moritz Seider's great. Lucas Raymond's unreal. They're only gonna get better. Their defense is a
Joe
little.
Valeno?
Oh, is he even playing? I
No.
don't think he's playing.
Leave him alone.
Hell yeah.
He's my
um.
white boy of the month every month.
Oh yeah. Man, don't they have that like 6'9" forward? Oh, what's his name? Elmer Soderblom. I want that guy to play. That guy looks sick. Can't teach size, baby. Um, I have questions about Billy Huso. I think Billy Huso is I think he's a bit of a fraud. If you're gonna ask
He
me,
was so bad for
and
years.
for so long, like there's this. I think it was Dom had this one tweet or someone who bets on hockey was like, I don't understand why everyone is like, oh, the Leafs need to sign Billy Huso this summer, because like until recently, Billy Huso was like, if you saw him starting against a team, you always bet against him because he would just
Yeah.
lose every game, and it was like an 880 goalie, and so like I don't know, maybe he's flipped the page. I have the same what's it called, accusations for a goalie on the team who I have in fifth, which is the Sens, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I'm just not sold on Billy Huso. I think Nedeljkovic is good, but I think
I think Nedeljkovic is good.
but honestly, that's a fine tandem. So honestly,
Mhm.
in reviewing this, I actually think I might change mine to have the Red Wings at fifth and the Sens at sixth, but I'm not sure. I'm not committing to that. I'll decide by the end of our Sens segment what I think. But do you have the Sens at six then? I assume.
I do, yeah.
Okay. All right. The one thing I'll say about the Sens, to move on to them, they're a fun team. They look like they're gonna be
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, yeah.
They look like they're gonna be fun. Um, Fucking Alex DeBrincat. It's insane that how little they had to pay for him. That's great. Awesome to see Claude Giroux come home. I think Josh Norris has been like so much better than expected when he was thrown into that like Eric Carlson trade
Oh,
way
yeah.
back when, and he's shown that he can be like an actual top center, which is awesome. I like Josh Norris a lot. Um, yeah, and then the defense is where it's kind of tough. Like I love Thomas Chabot, but like Travis Hamonic on your top pair sucks. I like Artem Zub. I hopefully Eric Brandstrom can play. The big question is, can Jake Sanderson come into the lineup and be, an actual force and, help save the defense? If not, who knows? Maybe that's a team we're calling to trade Logan Stanley to. Not that he would help much, but who
But you
knows?
can't teach size, and he has that
He
already.
does have
So,
it. You're right. Okay, so my big thing about the Sens is their goaltending. I like Cam
so bad.
Talbot. I like Cam Talbot, but he's nowhere near as good as you want him to be or expect him to be.
As he
Um,
used to be.
okay, and I need to ask a question. When did Anton Forsberg? When did everyone just decide that this guy is like a really good goalie? Because
I don't know.
like,
I have some friends who are Sens fans, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like
uh,
what's his name? Like Philip Gustafson was in net or something." And they're like, "Oh, like Forsberg's our starter anyway." And I was like,
like
"What?"
I listen to Steve Dangle's podcast. And
Why are
Jesse,
you a Leafs fan?
oh no, I'm friends with him.
Mm.
Fuck you. Um, and Jesse always constantly goes on about how uh Anton Forsberg is like the goalie for them now. And I just don't understand that. This guy has literally played more than 10 games. More than 10. He's played double digits games twice in 7 seasons. Every other time um so obviously there was last season he was a 917, which was like good, which is good. Don't get me wrong, very good, pretty good in 46 games. But before then, 8 games and he was a 909. 3 games, 897. 35 games. There we go. That's his other double digit season, 908. This season before that, 852, 907, 866. Like, this is a guy who's just bounced around on waivers a bunch. I remember the last year when we were doing our season previews for Jet Centric, I remember mentioning, because we were talking about Comrie, is Comrie going to be an actual backup? And I remember saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we just end up with, like, Anton Forsberg, who just comes over on waivers. And I literally remember Brian just immediately going, ooh, I really hope not. Like, this goalie is so very recently become a good goalie, in quotation marks, if you're not watching the video.
That's so subjective. Like, and small sample size, and just like show your work.
Yeah, no,
Show your work.
it's, and don't get me wrong, if he comes out and is good, fantastic. I'm very happy for Ottawa. I wish the best for Ottawa. They're a fun team. I like them. But I just don't understand where this view of Anton Forsberg has come from. Don't get me wrong, he was good last year, but like the Hamburglar was good in for a season. Like you
Yeah,
can't,
no, for sure.
goaltending
And
is voodoo.
I also think with Ottawa, and I don't want to talk about it, but I do think that there may be a couple of the players on that team that don't finish the season
Yep.
with the team that are impact players.
Mhm.
And it it it'll happen if it happens. Like, that's not up to you or I to discuss or speculate on,
Yep.
but I wouldn't be surprised. And
I didn't want to mention it, but yeah,
I
yep.
I
You
I
no
thought
no
it
no.
was purposeful you didn't notice my name, so I was yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So yeah, sorry. It's not that I didn't want to mention it. It was just more that I felt it would be better if we just if it was there's yeah. It's not our place to speculate
no,
and throw any accusations anywhere. But not great if
there
you're
is a yeah, there is a chance that off the ice things play a role in who gets iced in this lineup
yep,
in this season. It
yep,
it just it is.
absolutely.
But I think that going back to your goaltending thing too, this is not a team that can. It's not like a Colorado Avalanche, who it's like goaltending is a question mark this year. But even if it's bad, they can make it work. Not this team.
No,
I think this team will suffer greatly if they have bad goaltending. So,
yeah.
as most teams would. It's not like it's any single indictment of the Ottawa Senators, but it is what it is. Who do you have oh, no, so now we're even up at 6, right?
Yeah. We already did 6 because I had the Red Wings at 6.
Yes, and
Uh,
we spoke of that.
and
So
I think I'm just trying to decide. I think I'm gonna keep. I don't know. I think I'm gonna keep the Sens at 5 and keep this Red Wings at
okay,
6.
okay,
But
I can respect
anyways,
that.
I think it's
Here's
because
my question though.
they can
I'm
fix it by
very
trading.
interested to see who you have at number 7.
It's not the Canadians, if you're wondering. It's the Sabres.
Hell yeah, it
Yourself?
is.
Yourself? Same.
Favors.
Hell yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, I guess we'll touch on them quickly. I mean, the Sabres have kind of. I actually really like the kind of they seem to have developed a kind of a new culture ever since Eichel's gone. So it's very interesting to see how they kind of have rallied around like Alex Tuck and like these new younger guys coming in, and it feels like they're actually doing the start of the rebuild right. Which again, they've been rebuilding for however many years, but like obviously trading away Eichel is a okay. We're scratching that. We're gonna try and build it back up, but like. Tage Thompson proved to be a good player. I don't think that he's going to be worth his contract. That contract he signed is ludicrous. But like
Good for him. Get your bag,
good for
Tage.
him, yeah,
Good for you.
absolutely. And they've got to pay someone other than Jeff Skinner, who actually last year showed that he can play hockey again. So that's good. But they have a lot of good young D. You know, Dahlin is still getting better every year. Owen Power should be playing for them this year. Could be a Calder candidate. Um, Peyton Krebs. Like I don't know. I think they'll be a fun team. I've always been a huge fan of Alex Tuck, so I'm glad to see that they've got a guy who's like a Buffalo guy. He's like their guy. So good for them. I guess even Jack Quinn will probably be stepping in. JJ Paterka, as you were saying before, he should be good. Yeah, no, this looks like a pretty decent team. Like they look okay. I don't think they're going to be great, but you know, who do they even have in that? Oh yeah, Craig Anderson and Eric Comrie. Hey man, Craig Anderson was like good until he got hurt, and Eric Comrie was good last year. So really happy for Comrie. Hopefully he can make the most of it. Finally, plan to find a place to stick. But yeah, it's the Sabres. I don't know what you want me to say about them.
Yeah, I think that they have the potential to be the new Ottawa Senators where it's just fun, right? That's all you can hope to
Yeah.
watch is to see some fun with some kids and let them do what they want to do. I don't think it's this year that they get better, and I don't think it's next year, but I think they're on at least a path now. I think there was a lot of nothing going on for quite some time. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I like it. I think that Montreal Canadiens are also an awful hockey team. So,
Yep.
that's part of that reason.
I agree. Do you want to touch on why they stink first? I feel like I've been taking the lead. Unless
What's good about them, though, is that that's the thing. They don't have goalies. They don't have defense. They don't have forwards. Like, here's the thing. Cole Caulfield, potential. Nick Suzuki, wonderful. But
Mhm.
it's like every team has a Nick Suzuki. Every team has a young Cole Caulfield, whatever. It's like one or two good players doesn't make you good because every team in the league has three or four good players, you know?
Mhm.
So to me, that's not nearly enough. And I think that they're just super incomplete. I don't know if Marty St. Louis is going to pan out there. I don't like he's a very, very unknown quantity as an NHL
Yeah.
coach. And this sounds very contradictory because I am always very much a please don't hire a man who's been hired by six other teams in the last 10 years. Um, but at the same time, I'd at least have wanted them to hire some sort of college coach or like
Yeah.
maybe like
Maybe.
they tried Dominic Ducharme, did not work. Credit to them for that. Whatever. That was a disaster. But like I don't know in the long term if that's going to be the right
Mhm.
fit for them, and I don't know if depending on Josh Anderson to be on your second line is going to make you a good hockey team
Right.
at all. I don't think that there's a lot of good going on there, and I think Kirby Doc is also not good.
I agree. Yeah, the Kirby Doc trade pretty dumb. Like I don't think Romanov is fantastic or anything like that, but
No.
definitely better than Kirby Doc, I would say. Who knows? Maybe this is just what Doc needs to kind of turn his stuff around.
And for his
Um,
own sake, I hope it is. I like the kid.
mhm.
Just like I haven't seen anything yet that's made me go, "Ooh."
The main thing with the Canadians, obviously they're not gonna have Price playing for them. Yeah,
Jeff Petrie is also a big loss.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. As I was saying, he in most underrated second pair in the league for the Penguins. But yeah, no, like looking at this team, it's and going back to what you're saying about St. Louis, like I think St. Louis can come in and provide some interesting insights and like even just showing, the whole thing that was made up about him with like him and Caulfield being like, oh, it's an undersized guy showing another undersized guy how to shoot and score. Oh, he showed him that little like fake shot, move into the center shot, like shoot, and he scored it immediately after. Like I think that's a really good thing and really good that's going to help specifically Caulfield develop. But it's interesting to see if you'll have good systems that can actually help the the Canadians do better. Like I look at their team right now, and it looks like they have a second line as a first line, maybe even a third line as a first line. Yeah, I'll give them a second line. I'll say that. It's Caulfield, Suzuki, and Hoffman. But then it's like as you go down, it just feels like these are like a bunch of fourth lines or third and fourth lines, like even from the second line going down. Like it's smart that they grabbed a guy like Evgeny Dadonov, like cap dump, whatever. But like Michael Matheson is on their top pair. David Savard, who like after leaving Columbus has shown that he's not as good as everyone was hoping. There is some potential in Justin Barron on D, but like,
Hmm.
but like he's playing with Joel Edmondson, who fucking stinks too. Like I don't know.
I
And then
can't bring myself to be mean about Joel Edmondson because
he
after he won
wore
the Stanley
crop
Cup,
top.
he wore a crop top. So I can't be mean about him.
I like how as soon as you started to defend him, I knew exactly what you were gonna say.
It's the only good thing to come from the 2019 Stanley
um,
Cup.
that's funny. Uh, I
Anyways,
I wonder if Slavkovsky will play this year. I mean, of all
I
the,
don't know.
I don't know if he will, but like he's at least a big guy, so like he has already some weight to him. So hopefully, if he does play, that'll pan out as he can actually, you know, play in the NHL. But looking at it also though too, a buddy of mine, Chase McCallum, CM Hockey 66 on Twitter, has been doing a lot of research on draft stuff. If you're interested in like prospect draft comparison stuff, he had a really good article come out. I think he's been doing it as part of like a college thesis, but also just as part of a passion project as well too. And one of his most recent tweets came out mentioning that prospects who looked like Uri Slavkovsky don't tend to get drafted very high and usually didn't end up doing much at the NHL level. But on the bright side, the highest pick in his cohort is Sean Couturier, a very boom or bust comparable. So I am hopeful. Again, I cheer for every team in the sense of like I want teams to do well. So I hope that the Slavkovsky pick doesn't
Except the Leafs.
I hope that the Slavkovsky pick doesn't completely blow up in their face. But at the same time, I don't think it would be a bad idea necessarily to like go like, hey, don't try to big brain the NHL draft. Take the guy who's been at one for like years, but also you don't want to stick to that all the time. If you got your guy, pick your guy, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I don't hate the pick by any means or anything. The one thing I will say about Montreal is that at least it's been clear in the last year or so, they have a GM who's not afraid to do stuff. So I am optimistic that, for their sake, that depending on how the season goes,
mhm,
he will make moves to make his team
better,
get closer to achieving a goal. Not necessarily better, because I was gonna say if they're like so bad, then I could see him definitely shipping guys out and getting some people back. So I
right?
think that he will make proactive moves to get them to where he wants them to be.
Hmm.
Is that the right thing to do? We'll see. For example, the Kirby Doc thing. I see what you're doing there, but
Yeah,
um, so it'll be interesting to see. I still don't see them being good at all.
yeah, me neither. Um, and I guess that rounds out our Atlantic.
Yeah,
Unless you have anything else to say about anything, I guess also kind of rounds out our episode too. I mean, we've been going
it
for
does.
a while now. If you stuck around this long, thank you all so much for listening. You can obviously find us on every podcast thing, but also we do this on YouTube. If you're interested in watching this on, through video, that's always going to be an option. And then vice versa, if you're watching on video, you can always find us on any podcasting app. If you're listening to us in a car kind of thing, or if you want to listen to us in the car and don't have the video up, that's always an option. Please follow us on Twitter at Can't Each Size. My at is at NHL Chunky. Liz at Liz Hood. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else to say?
And TikTok.
And TikTok. Oh yeah, check us out on TikTok. Can't Each Size will post podcasting clips, but also or like little clips from the podcast, but also Liz has been doing a bunch of fun little using you explain it better than me. I sound like a boomer trying to explain this. God.
No, I just like finding, the trending sounds and making them applicable. I find that hockey content on TikTok gets kind of boring. It's people just like finding a filter and being like, let's see if I can make the best team in the world. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not really
Mhm.
interested in that. But being funny, little quips,
Hell yeah.
I did it for a while, for a couple months, and it was a ton of fun. So we're bringing it back on Can't Teach Size on TikTok. So it's gonna be a lot of fun over there. Highlights from the show. So if you're like me and don't always listen to podcasts for extended periods of time, usually it'll take me a week to get through an episode because I only listen to 5 to 10 minutes at a time. You'll find the highlights and clips on there too. So, and same thing with YouTube Shorts. We'll be around all over the place. So
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Have yourselves a great day. Hope you have a great week. Peace out.